Manny Pacquiao? Well, we have another local undefeated kid in Selden tonight, and he only hopes that being on our air will bring him the same kind of dreams come true for him. But to do that, well, first he has to beat Garcia, a game gritty guy. He's lost twice. He's 32 years old. And Selden really believes that he knows how to go about winning this fight, beating Garcia. And he better know how, because it's the only thing, Joe, that he knows how to do. And that's come forward, put pressure on. It's going to be a good fight. Somebody's dreams will come true.
I like pressure. I like come forward. I like the main event. That is still to come. Plus, we will have an exclusive one-on-one with Bob Arum coming up on Friday Night Fights. But let's get right to the tail of the tape for our first fight. Philly's Ray Tito Serrano against New Jersey native originally, Jeremy Bryan. See Bryan with the 4-inch reach advantage. And there is Bryan, 29 years old, 5'8", 145, 17-5 with 7 knockouts. Grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, and has since moved with his family to South Carolina. Was a good amateur, took the 04 and 05 gloves nationally, started his career well, but just 4 and 5 in his last 9, and he's ready with new trainer Joe Ponce.
I'm more hungry now, man. I'm focused because I have a lot to prove to everyone. You know, I gotta prove myself before I prove everybody else. And I got skills, and then with Joe, with the game plan, trust me, tonight you're gonna see it, man. I just can't wait to get in the ring, man. I can't tell you nothing else. So I'm just ready, man. I'm so excited. I'm ready to go, man.
And he's opposite 25-year-old Ray Tito Serrano, who's fought plenty on ESPN. He married a good amateur career to a promising start of his pro days. He was 15-0 welterweight, stepped up, went up in weight, was 3-2 at 154 pounds. Now back at 147, 2-0 after back-to-back TKO losses prior. He feels the weight situation helps.
I think 140 was killing me. I would be in shape, but I don't think I had enough power or gas to compete at that level, you know. But I know I got talent. I know I got what it takes to be a champion. So at 147, I'll be a champion.
So he's comfortable with the extra weight back at 147. Time to see what the fighters need to do to look like a champ. Brought to you by Just for Men, Teddy.
I didn't start with Mr. Bryan. Time him with your right as he throws his own right hand. And for Serrano, he doesn't cover well with his left hand. So after he jabs, shoot the right hand.
We got Steve Willis as the referee, and they're scheduled for 10.
Okay, gentlemen, you're going to have instructions, obey the commands, protect yourselves at all time. Right now, on the belt line right here, this is going to be low. Right here on the letters, this is going to be low. Tap it up. There we go.
Ring experience between Bryan and Serrano. See similar numbers between these two. Let's see if it plays out as a comparable matchup in the ring.
Well, Bryan has lost last 2 and 3 of his last 4. 2 of those losses were close decisions, Joe. One a split, the other majority, in both against undefeated prospects. Serrano lost 2 of his last 4, both by knockout. Listen, neither one, just from what I just said, neither one of these fighters in an extremely positive place mentally going into this fight. But Serrano might be worse since he's been knocked out 2 of the last 4, and Bryan lost his last 2 by close decision. I'm going to say, right from that, edge, Bryan. Although this should be an interesting fight.
Bryan just getting out of the way there as Serrano came in a little wide.
Serrano has come off the floor to win. Been knocked out twice, as we said. Bryan knocked out 3 times. So maybe you question the chin of both guys. Bryan trying to get the right key to the door. You know, I talk about it sometimes that, you know, being kind of like one of those superintendents, Joe, in the buildings where you got that big key ring and, you know, you got the keys to all the doors. You got to figure out which door the key goes to. And Bryan moving around a little bit, trying to find which key it takes to get inside, to get forward on Serrano. And he hasn't figured it out yet. He's fumbling. You know those big key rings, Joe. He's fumbling with them a little. Trying to find the right one.
Cautiously range finding for a moment there with a jab that's coming up about 1.5 feet short.
Not a bad idea by Serrano a minute ago. A lot of people say, well, what did he do? He feinted. Gave a little feint that he was going to do something just to see where Bryan would go. You know, he's moving a lot, Bryan. He's jittery. So feint him a little bit, see where that jitter takes him. And then if you're Serrano, you know where to find him. That's huge in your head.
That Bryan was able to duck out of the way from. Jittery is a great description for the first 2 minutes of this fight for Bryan.
Yeah, and again, if you know, if you were in there with a jitterbug, if you were trying to catch one of those little jittery creatures in your house, hopefully, you know, you don't have them in your house, but if you were trying to catch one of them, you might, you know, move a little bit to get them to move, and then you go catch them. That's exactly what Serrano's trying to do here. Make them move, make Bryan move, and then go catch him.
Break, step back, step back. Both of you, watch your heads. Watch it.
Obviously, round one, not the most scintillating there, as Doug Kazarian is in.
That I don't know, that's really special. I mean, Todd is special too, don't get me wrong. But when you got a special guy, you need a special guy to fill in for him. And there's something about him that is pretty spectacular.
I love it. I'm
maybe
glad you're enthusiastic
maybe
about
because
that.
he went to Brown University. Not too many people can go to Brown
Steve Jordan,
University.
former NFL tight end, great.
Yeah, that's, well, you're the man. You're the wizard.
Daughter Meredith and son Doug as well.
You're like, I feel like I'm on Jeopardy.
Where else you want me to go here?
Wow. That's great. But it's the general population of those areas and the main workforce. And
Wikipedia going anytime you want here, Teddy. Round two here at the Paramount between Serrano and a seemingly cautious, jittery Bryan as he drives him back against the ropes.
Easy. Off the head, go push. Let's go.
Bryan has been cut by head clash. I just figured I should throw that in there as he slammed forward. A little out of control there into Serrano. Maybe you can see why he's been cut by head clashes. And Serrano actually has been involved in head clashes and cut also.
Step back. Step back.
Three of the last fights for Serrano, it doesn't help him tonight, but three of his last fights, I don't know if it bothers him though. Three of his last fights, of his last 5 fights, Joe, have been against southpaws. So he's used to fight lefties, but again, that doesn't serve him tonight. Bryan's not a lefty, but maybe he wishes he was a lefty. He'd feel more comfortable because Serrano won all 3 of those fights.
Bryan tried to chase him down after Serrano fell in and then took a back step. Separated by Steve Willis.
Maybe it'd take a little while for Serrano to get the engine running. Go back 2 fights. He was off 1 year and 10 months. That inactivity can hurt you getting out of the gate. For Bryan, he only fought 2 months ago, but if you go back 6 fights, he was off 2 years.
Of course, that break for Serrano came after back-to-back TKO losses. That's when we told you he dipped down to 140 pounds.
Maybe Serrano can feel a little bit of a strength edge somewhere, maybe, and get something going. A bit bigger. Most of his fights at welterweight, while Bryan had most of his fights at junior welter. So somebody's got to start feeling strong.
Come out to Friday night fights and see the next unbeaten prospect from Greater New York work his way up. Tonight, that'll be Cletus Selden, 15-0 with 12 knockouts. He will be coming up in our main event. Round number 3 here of our co-feature with Bryan and Serrano.
I don't want to give away any secrets, but you were just talking about those very interesting catacombs, those rooms. We might explore them a little bit more in the fight plan.
Oh, I look forward to that.
Yeah. I look forward to this fight warming up, and I think it's going to warm up. I said it at the beginning, it's going to be an interesting fight. Been a chess match so far.
Reminder that you can go to fnfvote.com or the Friday Night Fight Facebook page and score along. This, the kind of fight early on that can be challenging to score along with. So join in, see if your score matches up with Teddy, see if it matches up with the 3 ringside judges.
And if it doesn't match up, don't get discouraged, guys.
Well, it happens every week for you.
So don't get down, because you know what?
18 years of that.
I have the same
the psychotherapy
ongoing problem going on with the judges at ringside every week. Oh, Joe put it very well. And if I was someone prone to get psychotherapy, it would have driven me into that. But I'm not. Talked about Serrano being a little big. He should use that size advantage when he gets inside.
Right hand to the body from Bryan. Serrano is on the inside. Both men squared up, and now tying up with that right arm is Bryan.
I talked about the chin of both guys, you know, being knocked out, both of them. Serrano has been on the floor with a 9-36-2 opponent, so you definitely wonder about that. You know, if there's any glass in that part of his body. You know, I think we made a good point earlier, Joe, saying both fighters.
Stabbing jab from Serrano.
Yeah, I mean, I think we made a good point early on saying that both fighters, neither one of them coming off their recent records in a real positive mental place. And you're seeing some of it unfold while they're trying to find themselves, while they're trying to get that confidence. You know, get their feet under them, so to speak. A lot of doubts in your mind when you're in that ring.
See who can get there first when we return. End of 3 here in Huntington, New York. Oh, he put him down right at the bell.
A very, very late knockdown. Take a look right here how Bryan does it. A throwaway punch. Makes Serrano pull back, makes him straighten up straight. And the right hand, the right cross gets there. You young fighters out there, sometimes that's the benefit of combination punching. The first one doesn't get there, but it sets up the second or third.
Right at the bell to close out round 3. Jeremy Bryan scores the knockdown. And you were talking about Ray Serrano and the chin and questions. Remember, he was knocked down 2 times against Kareem Mayfield back in May 2012. Was knocked down against Kenny Abril by a jab. Prior to that, in February of 2012, had been knocked down 2 other times in his career leading up to this. So let's look at Teddy's scorecard as it stands now. With the 10-8 round, with that late knockdown scored in the third, 29-28. Bryan, of course, you can join in on Facebook. 2 rounds to 1 for Serrano. Fans at home gave Serrano the first 2 rounds. Now, Facebook, obviously, the 2 rounds to 1 doesn't account for the knockdown being scored. It just shows you the round scoring. But obviously, a 10-8 round there in that third round.
Very game, Serrano, but a lot of flaws in his game. I mean, one of them is, we haven't seen it yet, but when he throws the right hand, he'll drop his left. You can watch for that at home. You know, he'll go with the jab and then the right hand. He doesn't cover with the left, and you can time him with a right hand as he throws his right hand. But the other one is the reason why he got dropped at the end of the last round. He'll stand straight up. Watch when he's finished his work. He'll come right back in front, really straight like a statue. Very dangerous place to get straight is in front of a fighter.
Work it out, work out.
Nobody taking charge inside, you know. Serrano, even though it looks like he's the one wanting to punch there, he put his left hand behind Bryan, so he doesn't want to punch that much. And Bryan tying up. when he did get that arm of Serrano behind him. If somebody takes charge inside in a fight like this that's very close, obviously that person has an edge. Chance to grab rounds that are up for the grabs. Watch again. Who wants to fight more on the inside? And again, you might say, well, Serrano, Teddy, but watch where Serrano puts that left arm. He puts it behind Bryan. You put your hand behind him. Now he pulled it out. But you put your hand, as he did again.
Too much wrestling there, Teddy.
Yeah, you put your hand behind the guy, Joe. You're basically saying, I don't want to work.
End of 4 as we are working our way towards our main event. It'll feature the unbeaten local fighter, Cletus Selden. Not scheduled for 10 here in our co-feature. Bryan and Serrano is the end of the 3rd round when Bryan scored with the right hand that sent Serrano down.
Serrano has the ability to switch to southpaw if he has to. He's probably hoping, or at least his people in his corner, his backers are probably hoping he doesn't have to. Because that would maybe be desperation time that he would need that. You see that head movement with Serrano, Joe? I don't like it. Too far away. Too far away, Joe.
It's a wasted movement in your eyes.
Yeah, it is, because he's not close enough to draw a punch.
So what's the point of doing it?
Yeah, well, exactly.
He came forward that time, and Bryan stayed in the track of a right hand.
See, when you make the move from too far away, your opponent can time you. Again, movement too far away. You got to get close enough to draw the punch. Kind of like a baseball player, batter in the batter's box, you know, swinging at the pitch too soon. You got to wait till the pitch, obviously, is close enough, and then get the bat around, not too soon. It means it takes control, takes a good eye, takes a steadiness, a discipline, a control over your emotions in the batter's box and in the ring. One thing I will say, though, even with this head movement from too far away by Serrano, Bryan not taking full advantage of it. If I was in the corner, I would tell Bryan, listen, he's making that head movement too far away. Step right in with your jab. And time him when he's making that head movement. He's doing it right in front of you. He can't hit you. Step right into the chest with your jab. You nail him. You know, it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. We've said that before. The fish have nowhere to go.
But where is there this barrel that has fish just swimming in it? I mean, I never see that barrel.
Oh, it's everywhere, Joe.
That's like old school Popeye stuff, fish in a barrel. There's no barrels that you walk around, you see barrels filled with fish swimming around.
Look underneath the ring, Joe.
Is that where you keep them, Teddy?
Yes,
the barrels filled with fish?
You'd be surprised.
Just for a useful analogy here and there. I like it.
They're everywhere. Shame on you that you don't allow your childhood imagination to come out.
I wasn't dreaming of fish in a barrel.
We should sometimes.
Dreaming of winning tickets at Saratoga, and they never came to fruition.
No, but there could be a horse in there. And there goes Serrano, hurting Bryan, who, as we said, been knocked out 3 times himself. And he saves a little time, Bryan, there by tackling Serrano.
So they have traded knockdowns here.
And both at the end of rounds.
Fun fight. We'll stay here and let's listen in to the corner of Jeremy Bryan. Here's how Serrano scored his knockdown.
He just walked in with a big right hand and then followed up by a left hook. And then a couple other punches, but the damage by the right hand and left hook. Walks right in. Really, White caught him there. is that Bryan was looking for a left hook right in front. Never throw a left hook in front. He starts the left hook, leaves the opening for the right hand. The right hand. That's why he got caught, Joe. A lot of people looking at first blush would just say Teddy just walked in with a big, monstrous looping right hand. No, he moved in when Bryan was throwing a left hook in front, created the opening for that right hand, and then followed by a left hook.
After such a nondescript first round that lingered into the second round, now we've traded knockdowns here in our co-feature of Friday Night Fights. Fun stuff between Bryan and Serrano.
Yeah, it said it'd be an interesting fight, and it would warm up. It has warmed up. No more chess. Those pawns are moving fast. Now they're moving the knights and the bishops.
Teddy scorecard, which will show you the two 10-8 rounds being swapped after an even first round, 47-47. Facebook fans, 3 rounds to 2 Serrano. Keep in mind the overwhelming percentages there in the third and fifth round for each fighter respectively, Bryan and Serrano. Those would be the 10-8 rounds.
There's that
Heads on the inside, and Serrano threw an extra punch as Steve Willis is going to take a break. And you can see blood instantly pouring down the face of Ray Serrano.
Go ahead there. Talked about this earlier. Both guys involved in head clashes. Talked about Serrano been involved. He's been cut. Well, he's been cut again. Like he hasn't been here before. And that's important if they allow him to go on, because he won't panic. He's been here before.
Now that cut is up at the top of the hairline, so it is not at the point of the brow or the corner of the eye.
And see, the doctor, you got to have the right doctors for fights. That understand what they do for a living. I mean, I see him shaking his head like he's going to stop it. I wonder.
Well, unless it impairs vision and his ability to defend himself, I don't care what the cut looks like.
Yeah, I mean,
cuts on the hairline are different. Now, unless you're telling me they can't stop
I agree.
and stem the blood flow, that's different. But it's about whether or not the fighter can continue on or if his vision is impaired.
Yeah, and whether or not there's going to be, more damage. And when you're talking about that, career damage. And when you're talking about that, you're talking about around the eye, not really around the forehead. Usually they'll let that go on. Usually in the forehead area,
yes.
My experience has been, Joe, the doctor will let the fight go on because, for what I just said, it's not around the eye where you have to worry about future damage to that part of the body.
By the way, we're using the New York State rules, so they go to the scorecards after half the rounds, which we have achieved, and only the completed rounds are scored.
Good job there by the doctor. At first I thought he was shaking his head, but maybe he just was shaking his head. But again, when it's in the forehead can sustain a little more damage. Around the eye area, obviously you're going to be more sensitive to that for future damage. But the forehead, you don't worry quite as much. I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm just saying.
Where do you want me to go with this?
No, I'm just saying. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
sustained damage.
I've sustained a bit of damage around the head areas.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a lot of pity or, too much attention to that to me. I had to deal with it. And a fighter has to deal with it. And right now, Serrano's dealing with it. This is not the opera. This is boxing. Who's the best man? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally.
Head movement by Serrano to get out of the way of the assault from Bryan.
Both guys, it's like looking in the mirror for me right now. Both guys, what did I talk about earlier, Joe? That Serrano makes those head movements too soon. Well, so does Bryan. He's making movements a little too soon sometimes. Both guys do that. And while they're making those movements, you can see both guys are ready to jump to try to catch the other guy making those movements.
Been a fun. You see the grease being applied to that hairline of Ray Serrano. His father, Raymond Serrano, is his cut man. That was a clash of heads in the 6th round that opened up that gash, and he's had blood streaming down that side of his face. He scored a knockdown prior to that at the end of the 5th round. He himself, he was down on his backside at the end of the 3rd round. Jeremy Bryan had that big right hand, and then with Serrano coming back in the 5th, and now round number 7 of what's been a very entertaining co-feature here on Friday Night Fights.
You know, Joe, you just said something that caught my attention.
What was that?
Well, that Serrano's father is also his cup man. Let's see what happens here.
Bryan complaining of a low blow.
Yeah. Referee's giving him a little time. He can get up to 5 minutes. Hopefully he doesn't take quite that long, that he's okay. That wasn't really low. Not for me.
It's
for
right,
me,
it's
that's
right
not
where it
low.
says Jeremy.
You know, the funny thing
far
is,
south of that.
Yeah, exactly. You took the words out of my
The
mouth.
other thing is, unless that glove's an ice bag, what is the point of holding your hand there for 45 seconds other than the drama of it and the acting of it?
Oh, it might be a reflex action.
Well, but walking around the ring, you're trying to sell it to the official.
I don't want to go too deep into that, but I agree with you. It was on the belt line. It wasn't low, and he sold it.
Drives me crazy.
You know, you're right. He went lower than it landed. He went 6 inches lower, and the referee bought it. But no damage done. I was talking about the father of Serrano being a cup man. You know, it's tough being a cup man, obviously. You have to fight his career sometimes in your hands, definitely for that night. But just think about how that's magnified and even tougher when you're a father. I mean, that's your kid. That's your baby boy. That's the kid that you change his diapers. That's the kid. Oh, there goes the mouthpiece.
Goes flying, sweeping left hand, and the mouthpiece goes flying into the front row. Oh, that's good stuff.
And this is why you have to have a replacement mouthpiece. You laugh at those rules, but you have to have a replacement mouthpiece. And here comes the replacement mouthpiece.
Ponce is not allowed to give instruction there as he stepped up onto the canvas.
Now, we're going to say, wow, that was a blockbuster punch, right, Joe? But also part of it is maybe the mouth was open and the mouthpiece just flew out because he doesn't have the mouthpiece bitten down on. In other words, his mouth's not shut the way it should be shut. So it can magnify the blow a little bit. You know, a little magnification of the intensity of the punch, actually.
Well, we've seen that many times, the exaggerated result if a fighter has dreadlocks or sweaty long hair, and you see the reaction of the punch there. A mouthpiece going flying a good 15 feet is pretty dramatic.
Exactly, and again, because his mouth's open, for me, what's more dramatic gets my attention if his legs go wobbly.
Exactly.
That gets my attention. That tells me, hey, that punch did damage. Not the mouthpiece flying necessarily. Bryan coming back nice.
And when we come back, we will show you that punch that sent the mouthpiece flying here in Huntington, Long Island. Stay with us, folks. And sends it flying. Still a well-scored punch. But to your point, I'd rather see the legs wobbling than see a mouthpiece flying. Good.
Well, there really is. I mean, that's exactly to our point. When you see the mouthpiece flying, we said it right away. That doesn't mean that it was, you know, such a destructive punch as maybe the influence of the mouthpiece would tell you. You saw right there. It wasn't as destructive as you first saw when you saw that mouthpiece going jettison, you know, out into the stands. But you just wonder if the judges are influenced by that. I mean, that's the kind of scene and the kind of, you know, picture that in the mind of a judge, even if the other guy won the round, that could turn around for Serrano. Just seeing that.
Mouthpiece went right over the top of the head of veteran Judge Glenn Feldman, who has scored numerous international title fights. Got Don Trella opposite him, and John McKay, so veteran group here ringside in Long Island. Speaking of scoring and judges, well, Teddy does that all night long. 67-65, swapping 10-8 knockdown scored. Serrano on top according to Teddy. Facebook sees it Serrano 5-2. As you see the percentages there, a 94% 7th round for Serrano.
Now, good fight as we thought it might be, and don't go anywhere. As we've seen already, both guys been on the floor. Both guys have the ability to hit that floor again. And both guys have shown the heart also to come off the floor. Serrano 4 years younger. Does that kick in now down the stretch?
Bryan 29 years old. Serrano 25 years old. Bryan was a very good amateur. 04 and 05 won the National Golden Gloves Championships. He was originally from New Jersey, now lives in South Carolina.
And Serrano, 100 amateur fights, so you know he's not chicken liver in that department, and that's why this fight is interesting. See, I think both guys, I said it earlier that it's like looking in a mirror. They should look in the mirror and they should attack that mirror. Both guys make those movements, those nervous movements. There it is again, Serrano too far away. And I think those are spots where if you're Bryan, you should step in. And if Bryan does it, Serrano should step in. Again, I talked about finding the key for the door. Both guys want to get in that door without exposing themselves. You can see Serrano trying to get in that door without getting picked up on the way in. And his idea early in the fight was to feint a little bit.
Good fight fans here in Huntington, New York at the Paramount Theater. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas, and Mario Osuna with you ringside.
Step back, Raymond. Got it.
Been a fun fight, this co-feature. Jeremy Bryan scored a knockdown at the end of the third. Serrano scored a knockdown at the end of the fifth. Mouthpiece went flying in the seventh. Clash of heads in the sixth that caused blood on Serrano's hairline. Been able to take care of that cut fairly well.
I talked earlier about both guys having habits that, habits, technical habits you pick up in the gym that can help you, they can hurt you. One of the habits there was an attempt by Bryan to counter with the left hook against Serrano, reaching in a little bit. That's why I talked about Serrano trying to find that key to the door, Joe. Every time he tries to get in, Bryan's looking to catch him something. And I thought early on, Serrano had the right idea. Feint a little bit, get Bryan out of position, and then come in that door. But I was talking about habits. Can help you, they can hurt you. I know there's a habit of Bryan. Serrano hasn't noticed it yet. But Bryan likes to take that right hand, Joe, and really drop it down to block anything coming to his body. In other words, if Serrano throws the jab to the body, he blocks it with the right hand. Serrano throws the right hand to the body. He drops the right hand to block it. That's a position, though. That's a situation where, there it is again. You saw there, Bryan dropped his right hand to block the jab of Serrano to the body. If Serrano notices that, he can feint to the body, get that right hand of Bryan's down low, and then come up high. There's a complaint by Bryan once again, saying something went south of the border.
You pulled him down, so he hit you low. He pulled you down, so you hit him low. I got it.
Okay, I like that, ref. Right?
Steve Willis,
yeah, I kind of like that. I mean, he said, hey, you pulled him down. Yeah, you pulled him down, so he hit you low. What do you expect him to do? Watch, Joe, for Bryan, if something comes to his body, what he does with that right hand. Again, it'll drop way down. And I think that's an opportunity for Serrano maybe to get another knockdown. Just feint something, get that right hand out of the way, and then go upstairs with a left hook. See, this is where you need the eyes of a corner. Because sometimes maybe the fighter's not seeing it. You're out in the corner, you're outside, you're calm. And you can notice those things. It's kind of hard sometimes to notice them when somebody's chucking punches at your head.
Final round coming your way. Stay with us. For now, the 10th and final round of our co-feature, Bryan and Serrano. Good pace early on here.
If he loses this fight, Bryan, he might kick himself in the pants a little bit. One of the reasons might be that he never used that longer jab. Looked like he had a little extra speed on it, definitely looked like it was longer. And it definitely has turned out he hasn't, or we haven't seen it. Not enough. Even now. Look at this separation here, Joe. When there's separation like that, one guy has an edge. That guy with the longer jab can get there first. And that should be Bryan. He's not, there it is, but he's not doing it enough. By the way, pretty good job in the corner with the cut of Serrano.
Yeah, Raymond, his dad, did a nice job.
And again, I was saying earlier, you know, that's a hard job to begin with. You have so much responsibility. Here's a good right hand. And you pointed out earlier, Bryan goes straight back on a straight line.
Yep.
You go straight back on a straight line. If your opponent follows you, guess what? You're getting hit. Usually a right hand off the jab.
Almost an uppercut opportunity there for Bryan. Now he comes with a straight right of his own, and then Serrano fires back.
Bryan's feeling the urgency now. I think he knows, has a hint that he might be behind. And I was saying that it's a tough job to be a cut man, but when you're the father and you change the diapers of that kid, you know, you took care of him when he had a runny nose. I mean, that's your little boy, and now you're fixing a cut. A lot more difficult than doing it with a stranger.
Easy.
I love the facial expressions of this ref, by the way.
What is it that you like? You just like how expressive he is?
Yeah, he's very
Steve
expressive.
Wallace?
Very, I like him. Very expressive.
Watch elbow. I got it. Step back, step back, step back.
Good shot that time.
Yeah, and again, the jab that time by Bryan, that longer jab, hit the sweet spot.
Real nice effort from Bryan here in the final 30 seconds. That 1-2. Tried to come from long range again with it. That's a good one. Good way to start the night. Traded knockdowns. Both men had their moments, and we will see which way it goes when we return to Friday Night Fights.
Yeah, both guys taking turns. There's Serrano jumping in with that jab, scoring. And then there was Bryan scoring heavier with that big right hand followed by a left hook. Both guys took their turn putting the other on the floor. And then it was Serrano's turn.
So he scored a knockdown.
And again, that knockdown, the favor returned later on in the fight by Serrano.
97-93, says Teddy, as they traded 10-8 rounds, the third and the fifth. Fans at home saw it 8 rounds to 2. For Serrano, let's go to the ring to David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the judges' score totals. John McKay, 94-94 even. Don Trella, 97-91. And Glenn Feldman scores this bout 96-92. Both for the winner by majority decision, Raymond Serrano.
Don Trella and Glenn Feldman work a lot of fights together and make the circuit on a higher level. They had it more similar to what Teddy had it, a majority decision win for Ray Serrano, 21st win of his career. It was a fun way to start the night. We'll be working our way towards our main event. Plus, we'll get Ken Alvarez, a 6-0-2 fighter, against a 7-0-1 fighter, and Daniel Gonzalez in a 6-rounder. But first, another visit with Doug in the studio.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. Now, while boxing fans hope the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight unfolds to match all